and appreciate you being here. So we had a camp practice number 13 tonight. We're having a night practice out here in full pad, and probably the best part of everything so far is the camp mentality approach taken by all of our players and the staff, in the sense that everybody understanding the importance of competition and how competition brings out the best in each person and also brings out the best in our teammates as well. So, and also recognizing how much more there is to do, the amount of work to be done. So we press them hard, and we have an agreement to push each other all the way till we reach that breakthrough and get better. And we know that we have a ton of work to do and a ton more improving to do as well. So that being said, questions please.
Mario, just the importance of within that game, the open season, to get some of these nice practices in and get the guys acclimated to the time after a lot of morning practices, the importance of making sure the body clocks are right and having a little bit of time to manage that and figure that out with the guys.
Sure, it's always important to give our guys an opportunity to practice at all different times in which we're going to have a game. All different game times are critical because guys have to understand their clock, right? What to eat, when to eat it, when to go to bed, how to just program themselves to being as effective as possible. So we'll get a couple night shots, we'll have a couple afternoon shots. We've done obviously a ton of morning shots, and during the year we're a morning operation. So, but being under the lights certainly is critically important for all of our night games.
Mario, speaking of competition, looking at the receiver room, how have those guys been pushing each other, and who have you seen maybe emerge, over the course of fall practice?
Yeah, we feel strongly about that room in the sense that it's a really tight battle, and it's a tight battle for the right reasons. It's because guys are doing the right things and are playing hard and are playing at a high level, and they've welcomed the competition. They've brought it into the room, fully understand that it's needed. We have to have winning depth. We have to have winning frontline guys. We have to have role guys. And so far, all we've seen is just the best of each guy. At times, there seems to be maybe a little bit of separation here and there, but too close to call, and they're going to have more opportunities to create more of that separation. But we see a room that is committed to not only doing what it takes to catch the football, but all the other things that come with it, particularly on special teams as well. So all in all, a really strong outing by those guys so far, and they will be tested really hard tonight.
Mario, you mentioned the winning depth. I was curious, across the board, big picture, offense, defense, how close are you to having this roster where you want it to be talent, not just top line talent, first team, but like you always want that championship second team pushing the first team? Like, how close is that? Do you sort of see that coming?
Well, I think in modern day football, you'd be very fortunate if you could get 2.5 deep at each position. Back in old school college football, right, you always had 3s and then you had 4s coming in, right? You always think about 22 positions times 4, subtract these specialists and whatnot, and you have somewhat around the number that you want, with some preferred walk-ons making a cut as scholarship players. So what I think you will find now, we're more readily approaching a place where we have a 2 deep that's accountable at each position. We're not all the way there yet. We feel like we can have multiple guys play winning football, and that we have to continue pressing that, and pushing that, knowing that at some point in time someone's going to be tapped on the shoulder that didn't expect them to have to play winning football for us. We're better. It's obviously a drastic difference roster 3 years ago, roster now, and it's never good enough. You're always going to want if you're a real competitor, you're going to want a first round pick at every single position on the field, right? And that's hard to do, but we feel very strongly about our roster and confident about our mentality and approach and our culture.
By and large, at the starter level, there's a lot of guys that are older veterans, guys that have played a lot. Do you see that out with the way they approach practice every day in camp? Is that kind of speaking? Do you believe that maturity matters during the season?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. And you see, I was trying to look at some the guys on the depth chart to give you the names. Ruben Bain has had about as strong as a camp as you can have. And part of that's because every single day it's him versus CC Mino and Markel Bell and Matt McCoy. And not to mention guys like Bruno, Tom Kinsler, that have really come on strong, done a bunch of good things. I look at guys like Akeem Meswell, which took it upon himself, working with our sports science department and with nutrition to get down body fat that he just looks different, he moves different. He has increased his power, his speed. I look at Inez Cooper, I look at CeCe, I look at Mark Fletcher, his coach, Carson Beck, his experience. The experience of the C.J. Daniels, Akil and Marion, right? And how important that is for some of the young receivers that are getting opportunities to go and compete for a spot with the ones and the twos. So across the board, it's as important as it gets because they, at the end of the day, they spend more time around each other than anybody else. And they must have a positive impact on the rest of those guys for us to have a strong culture.
A lot of new faces at corner in particular, along with guys returning, right? But how has the competition, how have those guys performed so far in camp?
A lot of guys to mention, probably too many to get a depth on each one, but it's been strong and it's going to be continued. The competition will continue all the way throughout the end of camp and beyond. You know, we're still, I believe, 17, 18 days out before game one. And we're repping everybody with everybody. We're repping multiple packages, multiple combinations. We're putting them in really adverse situations to see how they respond. And we're giving everybody an opportunity, you know, to make sure they can show what they can do to help the team win. So all in all, I think the culture is getting more callous because of competition. And what you're seeing is, again, you're seeing the best out of most guys. And you're seeing that just make other guys around them veterans. It's been a really good camp. And obviously, you know, I'm going to be very vague during this time of year as it relates to certain things, but we got work to do. And you'll probably hear that 6 more times this month.
Coach, bringing in a guy like Marty Brown, just what he adds to the running back room, and the fact that he has experience at winning at a championship level, obviously at the FCS level, but what does he bring to the room, and how does that experience that he had last year, and what do you think that can help bring you guys this year?
Big physical runner with a lot of speed, a lot of experience, 1,000+ yards, every scheme imaginable. They ran power, counter, ISO, ram, slam, wide zone, tight zone, duo. They do it all. So when he hears it in a different language, there's not a major adjustment. He's very confident. He's an unbelievably just personable guy. Like I don't think he's ever had a bad day just as a human being. So he brings great energy to the table. He and the rest of that running back group are very tight. Their competition is really elevated because of him, because of Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, because of Gerard Pringle. All in all, just a very strong camp for him and the rest of that position.
Mario, just with Carson, in what areas have you seen with him helping the receivers, either the way he delivers the ball, talks to them, just examples of how he's helping, what you've seen, how he's helping this group?
Sure. His experience shows because he knows what it's supposed to look like, and he has a lot of familiarity with our concepts. And the amount of time that he spends with our people, and it's extraordinary. He's here early, he's here late. He's got a great relationship with those guys because even while he was hurt, he spent a lot of time around the receivers and the offensive linemen. They forged some really strong relationships. So there's no, like we throw out sensitivity around here, man. You know, if you're sensitive, it's not got to be fun. You know, you got to be able to take legitimate like coaching and the right type of feedback, you know, and sometimes it's, you know, professional criticism. And those guys have the type of relationship where they can work out the kinks and really push it and push themselves to actually like high effort opportunities and get that performance level at a particular route, a particular concept, to the level we want it to get to. And that's hard. That's a lot of repetition, you know, and it's hot and it's day after day. And you see it. I think he leads in that way. I think he's got a great relationship with the offensive line as well, which helps a bunch as it relates to protections in the run game. So all in all, the passing game just keeps getting more and more in sync as camp goes on. And the experience of Carson Beck is really, it's showing up strong.
Marty, I think you said, I think it was at ACC the other day, talking about like telling the whole story of this program's trajectory. Not to talk about that when it was here 4 years ago, but just how have you seen the level of competition, the level of talent, just the ability of the team grow, you know, August 15th, whatever today is, 2025 to this time in 2022.
You're asking what's it?
Like the program's trajectory and how the team has gotten more talented, more competitive, more whatever you want to say about it.
Yeah, it seems you know, it's obviously drastic from the roster standpoint, from the depth standpoint. I think a lot of it shows up in the simplicity of their team GPA. Team GPA was, shame to say it, but it was a 2.4 on the rival. Those guys are, butting their heads at a 3.2 plus. It's pride of performance in everything you do, understanding that being a better human being off the field and really caring and having a high care factor is going to carry over to what you love to do is play football. So proud of the progress, hungry and driven more than ever for what's to come, because it feels like the level of, I don't know, DNA, the level of determination just gets stronger, and it's seen in practice. I think when you watch us practice and you see effort and physicality, you see finish, I think you see just a driven organization. So trajectory is great, it's going this way, and we want to make sure nothing gets in the way of it continuing.
Coach, talk to us about your process of keeping the standard and the culture in the locker room when the faces change so often year by year. What is your process of keeping that standard?
Well, certainly it changes a lot more now than it used to. Right now, I've seen teams up to 16 new faces a day. It's almost like coaching a one-year team every single year. And it starts with getting the right people, right? And you can never be perfect, but you do your best to do all the homework that you possibly can to make sure that the inside, the brain, the heart are in the right place, because it's got to fit, right? And if it's not a perfect fit, that's okay too. We don't want robots. We don't. We want to help everyone achieve their absolute best while also conforming to a culture that wants nothing but the best for the team. And so it's interesting. When you get alphas together with alphas, they typically, right, they butt heads. And then our job is to put them in settings and situations where those alphas kind of start realizing that the opponent's on the other side. And that's kind of where, the magic kind of happens. Those guys start competing together, working together, not spending time, but investing time together, and they take a deeper dive into knowing, like, who is this person I'm working beside? Who is this person I'm playing against, playing beside? And that has a lot of value, man, because you know how it is. You can't respect someone unless you know someone. And you can't know someone unless you invest time with them and in them. And I think if I showed you our off-season schedule and how much time we spend around each other, I'm surprised those guys don't try to wrestle each other more than anything, because we spend so much time, but we just stay real, we work hard at it, do the best we can.
How does the D tackle position group perform through this stage of camp?
Strong and developing stronger. I think David Blay has had a great camp. I think Ahmad Moten and Justin Scott have both done really, really well. Those guys are explosive, they're strong. Those guys all have experience, with obviously Moten and Blay having more, but Scott played really well last year when he got in there. And certainly has had just his gains in the weight room make him an even better player. Guys like Dalen Russell need to be mentioned, because all of a sudden we're seeing a guy that's changed his body and he's making a dent in the line of scrimmage on a day-by-day basis. The two guys that have to be mentioned for more than just playing, but Micah Newton and Dante Simpson both had injuries upon arrival or soon after. And those guys epitomize what you want in your players because of their approach to rehab and getting healthy again. They're 100% doing everything, and they played at a high level. But those guys attacked rehab and they fought their way out of the training. Your biggest fear as a coach is when you have someone that tries to fight their way in the training room and look for a way out. These guys, they couldn't be kept down. And they got way ahead of schedule, and they're stronger than they've ever been, and they're performing at, for freshmen, really high levels, and are getting closer and closer to significant playing time. So all in all, just that group together has made significant improvement and needs to make more significant improvement.
At linebacker, can you talk a little bit about that position, maybe the Saints and Torrey in particular?
There's a bunch of guys there. Those guys are, of course, worth talking about because they played really good football, and they're playing good football for us now. We're bigger, we're faster, we can strike and run. And certainly, Coach Heatherman, if you watch him coach, you see how detailed he is, how demanding he is. we're getting a ton out of those guys, and our levels of block destruction, diagnosing, and hitting it on triggering have really taken a really strong step. We have a really strong linebacker room. We feel really good about these guys, and we're a healthy linebacker room, like the tackle room. So all in all, again, kind of the same thing for all of them, man. Progress and a ton to go.
Mario, what improvements would you like to see from your team to finish out the rest of this month? What areas would you like to see more of?
The same thing we started with. You know, you always come, this is practice 13 now, right? And in practice 13, you're going to find out some things about your team. Like if a guy doesn't have a significant role yet, is he going to pout? Or is he going to step up and show that he belongs as a contributor, as a starter? So that's coming up now. We haven't seen any of that yet. We're going to test them. We're going to test them hard tonight. We're going to press them. They need to be pressed. We always talk about communication being at the forefront, right? Communication, physicality, finishing plays, ball security, ball disruption, blocking, tackling, running, throwing, catching. I'd like to see us getting better at every single aspect of football. God knows we have thrown every situation out and every field zone you can imagine as well. We have put our guys in really adverse situations. And we're going to ramp it up tonight. We're going to ramp it up tomorrow. On Saturday, it'll be more of a slower paced day. Then on Sunday, we'll scrimmage. Again, it'll be a long scrimmage. And we should have a lot of our answers by then.